Hello everyone, welcome to the program. So today we're going to be talking about planting bare root roses in the garden. And we're going to be discussing how to properly plant the roses, how to set the soil up inside of the soil where it's going to be going, draping of the roots around the cone that you're going to be making inside of the soil. And so let's get ourselves going. So whether you're buying miniature roses, and by the way, these are strictly bare root, which means they don't have any soil inside the container. So what you want to do is go out and locate where you plant the roses. Roses want a full sun environment, 8 to 10 hours of sunlight, uninterrupted sunlight. Spacing is very, very important. You want to make sure that the crowns of the roses at maturity, when you're actually growing in the garden somewhere around June, that these crowns are not going to be competing with each other. So give them plenty of space to grow. Air circulation in the rose garden is extremely important. Next, you want to make certain that you've got your irrigation system set up. So before you even put those bare roses in the ground, get your irrigation going. And they don't want to be wet. Meaning you don't want to put spray head irrigation. They prefer drip irrigation. So if you're going to grow a successful rose garden, your cultural practices of what you do to get these roses going is extremely important. How you prepare your soil amend. Roses want a well-drained soil. They want a soil on the acidic side, which means, as I've been mentioning in previous videos, you can go out and get a soil analysis done, but they want a soil that's in the acidic area, 6.5 or a little bit lower. They don't want to be planted in the soil that's alkali, above 7.2, 7.5. That's not going to work very well for the roses. Plant them where they're not going to be shaded. Very, very important. As I said, full sun. Now, what's really important on the rose garden is that kind of set them out where you want the rose to go. And then as you're digging the hole for the roses, you're going to want to make a small cone inside of each hole where the roses are going to go, where the roots are going to be at. Because that little cone that you have on the inside, you can be draping the root system from the roses around that little cone. And it's extremely important. Also, on the rose, you're going to find it's called a bud union. The bud union is like this swollen bit of tissue that connects the root stalk, or the root to the actual stalk of the rose, and it's a swollen area. You want that bud union exposed above grade. Very, very important. Now, after you get your bare root roses and you get your area set up and you've made the cones for these roses, what you want to do is take the root system, and they're going to be sitting usually in sawdust, but not in soil. Take the roots and drape them around on top of the cone, and it's really important that you pack the soil with your hands, generally to make sure the root system is in very good contact with the soil. Getting that root system in good contact is important. What you don't have to do is take the root system and really pack it in really hard and tight, because you don't want to damage the root system before it even gets going. So you want to make sure you've got a good firm contact with the root system to the soil, but at the same time, you don't want to damage the root system. Obviously, you want to make sure that the soil has been amended so you have plenty of organic matter already inside the soil. Very, very important, because as that rose starts getting established, going into January, in February, March, you want to have plenty of nutrients down there. Avoid using any kind of nitrogen at this time of the year. Mainly just phosphorus, but right now, number one thing is to get that plant established in the garden, plenty of full sunlight. As I said, they want to have drip irrigation because you don't want to have the crowns of the roses getting wet. You want to keep the trunk of the roses from getting wet. You want to keep them nice and dry, and you want to introduce that moisture to make sure it gets down deep where the root zone is going to be at. Also, I said under spacing, very, very important. So, and the reason being is because if you start getting a lot of congestion with the roses, what happens is you can introduce problems with powdery mildew and other fungi diseases that will be attacking the roses. So by keeping good airflow in the rose garden, you will reduce the likelihood of getting a high population of fungi attacking the roses. So it's just important that you have good airflow going through the rose garden. So that's where the spacing comes into play. So that kind of gives you an idea on the bare root roses as far as how to plant them in the garden. I'm going to be doing another YouTube if you're going to be buying roses that are going to be already in containers, and how to plant those in the garden. All right. So to recap, and you're going to find on my presentation, I'm always going to do a recap so you're a little more comfortable with it. You dig the hole for where the roses are going to be going. You make a cone inside of each hole where the roses are going to go. Make sure they have full sun. Tap the root systems gently down around the cone of the soil. And then go ahead and at that point make sure the bud union is above grade so it's exposed. And once you got all that done, you're good to go. And finally, mulch. It is so important. Roses love mulch, so don't be afraid to put mulch around the base of those roses so the soil is protected. What you want to do is reduce your compaction. You keep moisture contained because that's the purpose of mulch will do. And it's an outstanding way of also helping reduce the weed population that might be going as the rose starts developing. Okay, so with that, go enjoy the garden, and I'll be doing the next presentation of planting roses in containers.